Hi everyone, it's Kelly Giese, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I am doing my July class. We're using the Cheerful Daisy bundle this time, along with papers and stamps and a few other items. This is card 1, and so let's get started. We're using, like I said, this stamp set. We're going to make the following card. It is like a stair-step card that opens like this, and then the envelope looks like this. I just put a daisy on there because it's a daisy card. The inspiration from this came from my favorite, or I should say, one of my favorite demonstrators. Her name is Connie Stewart at simplystamping.com, and this is her card. I just changed what I was using with it, and if you want to check out her site, it is simplysimplestamping.com. I always say it wrong, but I think you can see it here. Simplysimplestamping.com. And this was a May 4th card that she did in 2023. So if you want to check out her site, the dimensions and everything are there for the 2 cards she made. My dimensions are the same. It's just that I made them with different papers. So let's get started. Here's our card that we're going to make. And inside your envelope, you will have a number of things. It's quite packed. You'll first off have an envelope. You will have your card base. You will have 2 pieces of designer series paper. You could use either side if you choose to. This one happens to be mine. I did make a faux pas on it, so I fixed it, and I will be using that. It's hardly noticeable that I sliced it in the wrong spot, but hey, this is how I make up for it, and if you aren't looking for it, you are not going to notice it. So we have 2 DSPs. We're going to have one card that is 5 1/4 by 4 for our inside, and then we have a package with elements in it, both bars and embossed paper, an item for our sentiment, our daisy parts, and so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to adhere my designer series paper. Again, most people will not have this on it, but I waste not, want not, so I just make sure that I have everything where I need it, and I tend to just use it, and it's my card, so I will be fine with it. And the person who gets it, unless they watch this video, will never know that the back side of this had something different to it. It is hardly noticeable when you look at it, unless you know what to look for. So let me finish adhering this. I kind of do a Z pattern, and sometimes I do a little extra little bit here and there, but for the most part it is a Z pattern. I am just spacing this so that it looks pretty even all the way around. And we're pretty much done with that. I'm going to put my inside in. It happens to be, for a change, kind of a cool day here in the great state of Texas. Cool by comparison. Not that it's cool compared to a lot of other areas, but for us it's kind of cool. I spent a week up in Indiana freezing, so I'm happy to be back home in Texas. So I basically have the part of my card done, and there's really no right or wrong way to put this paper on. That's why I used it. It's a non-directional paper. It looks good this way, looks good this way, looks good this way. So this I'm just going to set aside for just a moment, and I'm going to bring in my little bits. I'm not going to use these yet, but I am going to adhere these to the matching or corresponding gray pieces. Now you can use glue, or you can use your adhesive seal, whichever you like best. I'm going to try and do seal. I did find that glue is a little bit more forgiving. And it's only because I want to make sure that I've got this in here. See, now that's what happens when you have glue. It will stick, so unless you're perfectly lined up when you set it down, that's why glue's a little bit better, because you can move it. So the next one's going to be glue. Using the Tombow, I'm going to just go to my next one, put some glue on there, and now I can slide this around if I need to. See, that's just a little more forgiving. I think I like that a little bit better. And I'm going to put that there. We'll do Tombow on the next one. It's a pretty simple card. It's just a lot of little pieces. But once you get it together, I think it's really a fantastic card. It looks a lot harder than it really is. It's just paper. So that's the best part about it. And I used the Dots embossing folder on this. This is in the online exclusives. You can get a 3-4, you get 3 embossing folders. I think it is for $11. They're only available on the online store. The best part is it's dots and just some basic things that are nice on the back side. So now what we are going to do is we are going to adhere these onto here. And what I like to do is I like to just go across here with some glue. So I put glue in the middle, and I am going to put that right on the bottom. It should fit all the way across the bottom like that. We're going to hope it sits there for a minute. We don't want it to mess around. And then I'm going to put the top one on. The top one should pretty much be the same as the width here, but it might be a little bit longer. And I'm going to put that one right on top. You want to make the top edge match this. It is pretty much the same width as this little flap. So I've got my top, my bottom, and now I'm just going to put these in between. And they should just snug right up to each other. It's almost easier to do the glue on the flap than it is to do it anywhere else. There we go. And then I'll grab this one, making sure this is what's nice. I could just shush this a little bit if I needed to, and I like that. This top one's just a little bit wackadoodle, isn't it? Well, we'll leave it. I'm not gonna fuss. And then put some glue in here. This is the nice thing about the liquid glue, is it gives you time to make your stair step card. This is called a faux stair step, and it's because it gives the illusion of a stair step without being really a stair step. Okay, we're going to let that just sit aside for a second. We are going to create our flower. These are our foliages for the back side. And you might have an extra sprig in yours, or not. This goes on here. So what I like to do is I like to figure out how this thing goes together before I put glue or anything on it. And I think that's it right there. So I am going to flip it up. I am going to put just dots of glue in a couple places. Okay, and this should fit on there, giving you your dimensional for your flower. Hopefully that is easy to see. And I'm just going to put my lid on this for a minute. I am going to grab my piercing mat. Pierce on the other side, and I'm just going to poke some holes in this so that it gives it some dimension. I don't know if you can see that, so I'm going to give it some dimension, and I'm going to use a piercing tool. It's just one that I have. There is a Stampin' Up one, and I can't find mine right now, so I'm just going to use this from another manufacturer. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just poking holes in it up. That one got a little bit big. There we go. It's not a big deal. We just want some texture there. And we're going to glue that onto here, giving it a little bit more dimension by having that in there. It kind of looks like the bottom of the flower. So I'm just going to throw a little glue on here. I am going to flip that over. I'm going to put that on there. And let's see, we should put in our sentiment. We are going to use the Wishing You the Brightest Birthday. I'm using a Green Garden here for my ink color. And this is a polymer stamp. So let me put it on my block. I'm going to get my piercing mat back out. I'm going to put that under that. Sometimes it just prefers to have a little bit of cush underneath it. So I am going to stamp that. I think that's pretty good. And then while I'm stamping, I am going to pull out the daisy. I'm going to pull out the daisy and the center. Let me throw them on. I love these little things. I love these blocks. They're so easy to work with. Okay, and we might as well do our envelope at this time. All I'm doing is, when it's one that I'm using, I put a K on the back so I know this is the one I want to make. So let's stamp this. We're going to use two colors. We're going to use, I believe I used this Lolly Lemon, and I use the Pecan. Some people say pecan, pecan, just depends upon your region. I like to go with pecan more than pecan, because when I was a little girl, a pecan was something different than an edible. Just saying. Okay, so those are my two flowers. And now let's do our centers. And the centers are fun. You're just gonna, to the best of your ability, just put them in there. There you go. So our envelope is beautiful. And now let's finish our assembly. Let me close up this ink real quick so that we do not end up with that on our fingers. So the finishing of this is quite simple. I just decide where I want to put my daisy, how I want to put my daisy. The daisy on here is put on with dimensionals. Okay, I will let you know that. And the greenery is not. So the greenery is just glued on. So we're just going to glue it on. Makes it easy. And I'm going to put it up here because I want it to have I don't glue all of it down. Sometimes it's nice to have that extra. And I will slide that one in after I put my dimensionals on. So let me grab, oops, sorry about that. Nothing like hitting the camera stand when you're reaching something for something else. Not necessarily the best thing to do. Graceful, I am. Just gonna say it. And I didn't glue that down, but that's okay because this is just going to go over it and you're not going to see that. You want to just make sure that this daisy is adhered on here. And then this one, I am going to put little dots of glue on the little greenery here. And I'm just going to tuck it right here. And I'm just going to hold it a second so the glue can become tacky enough to adhere it down. And we're going to put some dimensionals on our sentiment here. Now, I kind of go crazy with dimensionals. They're inexpensive and fun to use, so I use a lot. Because why not? You can. And to replace them is not going to break the bank. So, put that on. And it's always important to put your sentiment on the correct way. There you go. Now, if you happen to have an extra one of these in your packet, you can always do what I'm going to do here, and that is I'm just going to adhere it to the inside because I can. And I don't want to waste it. It's a cute little foliage. It's something little. And it'll look like you took a little bit of extra thought for this little bit here. Okay, let me grab it. And I'm just going to set that there. And there we have it. Voila, our card. I want to thank you all for watching my video today. And this is especially for my team that is using this to recreate this card if they miss class. Thank you again, everybody, and have a lovely day.